Okay, so if you guys are growing a mobile detailing business right now, or you're thinking of starting in this industry, which is a great idea, by the way, because it is a business that could do, as much money as you wanted to pretty much do. We just did an interview with somebody. Actually, I did an overview of this guy's business who uses Booking Koala. They've done over 2.6 million since the day they started, and he kind of outlined exactly what they did so that I could use it for videos like this to educate you guys how to actually get there as fast as possible. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive straight into it. We'll go ahead and base this video on getting to your first 100K. Okay, and there's going to be three pillars that you have to always keep in mind. First, you have to figure out how to get money and get the customers. Then you have to figure out how to make it repeatable. And then three, you have to figure out how to remove yourself. Very, very important, especially this part, because if you guys are doing the jobs yourself, okay, then things happen where you get stuck there or you will just never go to the next step, which is the necessary step to get to the freedom part, right? Because if somebody is doing the detailing for you, that is how you actually grow and build a business that you don't have to kind of be a part of, in a sense where you have to do the actual work yourself, which is the most hard part of the job. And that is what separates the people that actually never get to the freedom part. Okay. So let's start from the beginning, the get cash fast part. So, first, you have to find your 10 customers. Extremely important because that first set of 10 customers is what's going to help you grow faster. And it doesn't matter how you get them, you should leverage free ways to do it, especially if you don't have money. And there are free ways to actually get these customers because once you get them, then you have money coming in and it's going to help you get the next 20. Once you have 20, at that point, it's pretty much a piece of cake because you figured out your business at that point and you have money coming in. Okay. So then you have to create a simple offer to get these 10 customers. Okay. What I always say is look at what's in your local market and keep in mind, you don't have to start these businesses in the actual area that you live in, right? There's a lot of customers that you, or a lot of users that use Booking Koala who may have this, who may live here while that business runs completely in a different area, right? And I guess that's the perk of remote work nowadays, because you could live somewhere where it's cheap and run a service where it's a luxury market or something like that. Okay, so that's something that to keep in mind because it's helpful to understand that. Okay, so now once you have those simple offers, you can do local outreach to get these customers. I'm going to show you in a second when we talk about making it repeatable, the two ways of actually selling these customers. Okay, so now closing fast. So don't overthink this. If someone's interested in a service, you do not have to really sell someone. You can just help guide them into the sale, as I like to call it, because being, over being aggressive, being an over aggressive salesperson will not really yield good results. Okay. So now, what does it mean to make it repeatable? Once you figure out your pricing, then you have to build some kind of website to actually attract these people. And there's two ways to close: one, over the phone, and two, book online. All right. So you've maybe seen today things like Uber, where you book a ride online, or any pretty much DoorDash service where you can go ahead and book something online to get food delivered to your home. This is essentially the same thing. And there's two different models of how people actually run these services. One, sometimes they never even pick up the phone or don't do customer service. It's just strictly online where the person comes in, and that's, kind of what is the perfect model if you figure out how to do it. But I would still suggest doing kind of a hybrid where you pick up the phone and let people book online, because that's where you will go ahead and get the most money, unless you're looking to scale as big as possible. Then you probably would just be doing book online like Handy or Uber or anything like that. Those business models were great, where it's just customer takes care of themselves. But the thing that's important is basic process, right? It has to be a basic process, or this is never going to work. If you're making complex plans, or doing crazy things on the website, or with your services, that's never going to work. The only way to make that work is to make it easy and quick to the point, so the customer can understand, book, and take care of themselves. Otherwise, they're always going to be calling, and the more they call, the more time it wastes for you. Okay, so that is the next part of it. Make it repeatable, make it as easy as possible, so that they can come back and work with you. And here is another important part. This is probably the most important part when you guys are starting out, because all of this can be figured out. However, this is where it kind of begins from day one, because you want to get your brand reputation up and as high as possible. So you guys have to go after reviews, and you have to go after repeat customers. This is the key, the repeat customers. And this is literally why service businesses are so much easier to grow, and why people have such high success rates using Booking Koala, because they go after industries like mobile detailing, where you turn each customer into a repeat customer. That's key. If you guys are, getting mobile detailing done, chasing a customer, and you do not sign them up for a plan, that is not going to yield the best results. You cannot be chasing one-time customers. You have to be chasing people that not only you get a review out of all of them. I mean, it's impossible to get it out of all of them, but that should be the mindset. Get a review out of everybody, and as many as you get, that's how many you get. And then two, you go after the repeat customer. So be like, hey, we'll give you this much off if you guys actually sign up for reoccurring services. So that is how you make it repeatable. That's key, right? So right off the bat, you turn as many customers as possible, and then you have to make them repeatable, because getting to your 100K is not going to be very hard when you get repeat customers. Okay, and that's when you can take it to the next level, and people don't even realize that you can do that. And at that point, already everything is figured out, because you will have this figured out. Now, can you get to 100K just doing it solo? Yes, you can, but it's going to be a lot easier if you guys don't actually perform the work yourself and hire from day one. So like, if you know my story, I've done over 15 million in revenue in my service business, and I've never done the service myself. Okay, so from the very first go, you already hire people that will know how to do it. And car detailing, this is not a very hard skill to learn. Anybody can do this, even a high schooler. So hiring, that's the pro of this business model. You can literally hire anybody. Anybody could learn this and do it. Okay, you could even, as a 1099, you could have so many high school students doing this to pick up extra money, that it literally makes this super, super easy. Okay, so hire first worker, and then always make sure that you scale that way without doing the work yourself. Don't get stuck doing the work yourself. You'll never reach the freedom part. Okay, pay per job. That's very important. Make sure that you actually pay per job and not per hour, because if you do it per hour, that hurts the business, because a lot of people take advantage of that. And actually, paying per job can benefit the provider as well, because they will be, the faster ones, the better ones are going to always stick with you, because the more jobs they do, the more money they would make, even more so than per hour. And if you do bonuses, which when you're setting things up later, I would suggest you do bonuses, they can make more, because if you do it based on per job, then you could give more bonuses per job, depending on what the bonuses are, and we could help you do that as well. So then the next part, this is why reoccurring is such a great business model, because it makes it easier to fill up the schedule. And this is one of the big reasons why a lot of businesses fail, especially when they go into one-time industries, is because they cannot fill the schedule, right? With repeat work, it's predictable. You guys can go ahead and fill up the schedule quite easily, give it to the same provider to keep on going there. And then once you sell one customer, you have two, three, four, you pretty much filled up a provider's schedule. Now you could hire the next one. With one time, what I've seen is that they literally complain because they don't get enough work. It's much harder to scale the business, and no one's going to want to, work with somebody that has one booking per week or one per month. Sometimes you'll find a provider that's okay with that, but that is rare because everybody needs to make money, right? To live, they need to make money. So you need to fill out the schedule. And that is another huge key point of why reoccurring schedules are, such an important part of the service industry, and why the success rates of these kinds of businesses is much higher. Okay. And then the last step, as I mentioned, pretty much in this whole piece right here, this pillar, is step out of the work. You have to step out of the work so that you literally become the business owner and don't focus on just the actual detailing of the service, but focus on hiring, marketing, branding, and growing the business. This is how you become a business owner and how you achieve freedom.